Hello, hello. Welcome back to today's live. I am talking about the new threshold for the 1099 forms that you have to file with the IRS. And I'm super excited about this one, as I've been about other topics, but this one I'm super excited about. If this is your first time here, my name is Jennifer. I am the founder and CEO of Hair CEO. We are a bookkeeping, advisory, and tax firm specializing in helping self employed hair professionals and hair business owners run legitimate, profitable, and bankable businesses. And so this season, I have been doing tax talks all about 2026 filing season because we had a really big bill that was passed that impacts us directly, the one big beautiful bill. And so one of the things in that bill was a new 1099 threshold change. And I want to break that down today. So the first thing I like to do, of course, is a shout out everybody who's with me live. Thank you guys so much, especially if you've been here multiple days. So put a 48 in the chat if you have been with me for all 48 days. And if you're hitting up the replay, put a 48 in the replay to let me know that you've just been keeping up, maybe not live, but you've been catching the replays. So I want to give you a little bit of history because I like to kind of set the stage a little bit with these 1099 thresholds because I will tell you a lot of people in the hair industry get this wrong. And so before we go into the, nitty gritty of everything, I want to give you a little bit of history. So 1950 is when this $600 reporting threshold was put into law. So between 1950 and 2025, the threshold has been $600. And so I think you may have heard, oh, if you pay someone more than $600 as a contractor, then you need to give them a 1099. It used to be in miscellaneous form, but now it's a 1099 NEC for any services. And so this was really big for like hair salons and barbershops who had independent contractors working for them. Now, we're not getting into today whether that, someone is being misclassified as a 1099 contractor, if they should be employees. That's a different topic for a different day. We're not even going to touch on that hot subject. But let's say you were, a salon owner, or maybe you were the independent contractor and you knew about this $600 threshold. Well, that was mandated by the government and Congress by law that if you went over that, if you paid someone over that amount, that you had to give them a 1099 NEC, or previously the 1099 miscellaneous. And then fast forward to 2025 with this, one big beautiful bill that was passed in July, that threshold has now increased to $2,000. Now, it's important to understand that some of the things that we've been talking about in my lives this series, the year to start it has been 2025. So you get to implement it like for the 2026 filing season. This one, on the other hand, you do still have to report everything that you pay above $600 for 2025. But starting in 2027, when we file for 2026, that's when the new $2,000 threshold kicks in. Now, in 2027, that's when we file 2028, stay with me. I know it's a lot of numbers I'm putting out here. But when you're ready to file for 2027, this $2,000 is going to be indexed for inflation. So every year, the IRS will come out with the new 1099 amount so that it stays up with inflation. So we won't have the issue that was happening here in 1950 all the way to 2025, where it was stuck at $600. So this way it will grow at the rate of inflation. So you don't have to worry about big surprises, because even from 600 to 2000, that's a big jump. So now you don't have to worry about that big jump because it'll be indexed for inflation. Now, let's talk about the different types of 1099s, because not all 1099s are going to this $2,000 threshold. And so I want you to be clear on which ones are actually increasing. So if we go here, we have three main types of 1099s that I see in the hair industry. We have the 1099 NEC, which is what we've been talking about. These are for services. Then we have the 1099 NEC. This is for rents. I'm going to go into more detail on the next slide. But then we have the 1099Ks. What I want to stop and point out here is that this $2,000 threshold increase is only for the 1099 NECs and the 1099 miscellaneous forms. This has nothing to do with the 1099K. So we're going to, again, go into that because I don't want you to think all 1099s and now you're freaking out because you're like, wait a minute, I heard 20,000 and Jennifer don't know what she's talking about. No, pause, stick with me. I'm going to explain it. So we're going to talk about the NEC first because this is the one that most salons and barbershops are going to issue to other people. Now, the question always comes up, well, who gets the 1099 NEC? Who gives it out? Who gets it? A lot of confusion around this because some people think that it's the booth renter that gets a 1099 NEC, when in reality, it's the booth renter who gives the 1099 NEC to their salon owner or barbershop owner. So these are the types of people that would receive a 1099. Okay, so let's a 1099 NEC. So let's talk through each one. A stylist will get a 1099 NEC from someone who paid this stylist to do some type of service as an independent contractor. So this was not an employee, but this was a contractor that was paid more than, starting in 2026, more than $2,000 by cash or check. So that would be considered a 1099 NEC recipient. Same thing for barber. So this barber was performing services as an independent contractor to maybe a barber shop. And so, that's how they were paid, via cash or check. And so they're supposed to be the recipient of a 1099 NEC in 2026 for over 2,000. Now in 2025, if you were working with a stylist or a barber and you were paying them as an independent contractor, then the $600 rule still applies to you, or even prior years. If you're late for whatever reason, I don't judge, right? Judgment free zone over here. But if you haven't filed 1099 NECs from 2023 and we in 2026, then you need to give them you need to file a 1099 with the $600 threshold. All right. So then let's get to the ones that I think may surprise you. So cleaning services, cleaning crews. I know a lot of my salon owners and barbershop owners who pay someone to come in and clean their salon or their barbershop. And maybe you do this on a weekly basis. It could be something as simple as like $100 a week. Well, guess what? If you did it more than 6 times in 2025, then you owe them a 1099 NEC because it was over that $600 threshold. Same thing for plumbers. This is another big one in the hair industry. So, those pipes where hair gets all stuck in it. I think every salon and barbershop owner, maybe not so much barbershop owner, but I know every salon owner should have a plumber's number on speed dial or in their list of favorites because you're going to need a good plumber in the Rolodex. Okay. But same thing if you pay a plumber by cash or check more than $600 in 2025, guess what? They're supposed to get that 1099 NEC. Then we go to accountants. This may surprise you again. You're like, wait a minute, what? Yes, absolutely. Now you may be thinking, well, Jennifer, I paid your firm more than $600 and I didn't give you guys a 1099. One thing to keep in mind, these forms are given when you pay somebody via check or cash. If you pay someone via credit card, then you do not have to issue them a 1099 NEC because the bank and the credit card companies are already going to supply them with the 1099K. So that's the case with my firm. So you don't have to give us a 1099K And actually, if you do, then I'm going to tell you to file a correction and remove it, because at that point, you're double counting me. Like you're doubling the income, because my 1099 is already going to have what you paid me. And if you give me one, now you're double paying. Like now you're reporting that I made double of what I actually got paid. So, want to be careful there. Same thing goes for lawyers. Now, a lot of these services, you pay them via cash or check, or another big one is like Venmo, Zelle, um, Apple Pay. These are bank to bank, and they're not considered credit cards, so they're not going to get a 1099. So it's your responsibility to supply that 1099 NEC. So, very important. One last little thing is that in the event that the cleaning crew, the plumber, the accountant, the lawyer, if they're a corporation, then you don't pay them. Then you don't supply them with the form at all. And you might be like, well, Jennifer, this is too much. Like this managing a business, like it's a lot. I know. And that's exactly why people work with our firm. Like you have to be partnered with an accounting firm that can help you with this stuff, because there are a lot of things that you have to keep up with as an owner of a business. And so this is one of the things that we help our clients with, that are working with us monthly, to make sure that the people who are supposed to get their 1099s are getting their 1099s. But it has to be a two-way street, because you actually have to request their information by giving them a certain form. They have to receive the form, fill it out, and give it back to you. So it is kind of a give and take. And you really want to start doing this when you hit that threshold, or when you think you're going to. That's even better, because before you pay them, you want to make sure you have this form, because it gets harder to get the form once you've already paid them and they're like, I don't want to give you that information because I don't want you reporting anything to the IRS. So I know that happens, but I'm just teaching you what the right way is. Okay. So we can't account for what other people are doing or not doing. Now, another thing I want to mention is the miscellaneous in the rents. So, again, this is if you pay a landlord, if you pay a shop owner or a salon owner, let's say you booth rent, this is the amount that you're going to put on that miscellaneous form. Anything over $600 for 2025, and anything over $2,000 moving forward, 2026. So, this also includes if you are in a salon suite. So if you are in a salon suite and you're paying your suite owner rent, same thing. You need to be supplying them with the 1099 miscellaneous. So this is something that, is really important. And again, same thing if they're not a corporation. So if they are a corporation, you don't have to worry about it. So little things like that. Again, you want to make sure you're partnered with an accounting firm that's going to help you with this stuff, because it's a lot to manage, it's a lot to know, and then implementing it can be difficult sometimes. So you want to make sure. Now, let's talk about these 1099Ks. I mentioned that because with the 1099K, it's still the $20,000 plus 200 transactions. And I think back in 2024, there was some talk about Congress maybe decreasing this to $600. And that, oh man, people went crazy when they were talking about that. I know I did a post about it and on Instagram and YouTube, and people were not too happy. But that is no longer the case. So we're at 20,200 transactions for the 1099K. So that is your credit card processors. These are your Stripes. These are your Square apps, your Vagaro, whoever you use as a payment processor. They're still going to be giving you these once you cross the $20,000 plus 200 transactions threshold. But of course, there's always like a gotcha or something else to look out for, right? Always something. And we have state traps. So everything that we've just talked about is for federal, the IRS at that level. Federal says, yep, the new threshold is $2,000 for the 1099 NECs and the 1099 miscellaneous. But guess what? The states have their own thresholds sometimes. They don't always follow the federal. And these are three states that are notorious for having their own lower thresholds. And this means the 1099 NEC, the 1099 miscellaneous, and the 1099K, because I have seen it over and over again. If you're supposed to get a 1099K, once you hit over 20,000, there are a lot of people that get these 1099Ks and they've made less than 20,000. And they're like, well, Jennifer, why did I get this 1099? I didn't make $20,000 in credit cards. And I'm like, oh, because you live in the state of Massachusetts. And Massachusetts has their own threshold, and their threshold is lower than the federal threshold. So as long as you live and do business in Massachusetts, will actually live there, then that's going to be, you have to follow the state rules, and your credit card processor knows where you live because of the information that you fill out. And so they're going to have those reporting thresholds where the states require them. So that's the reason. So you want to make sure you check with your state to see if your state has a threshold that's lower, just so that you can anticipate what forms to be looking out for. Because during tax season, forms are always coming in. Sometimes they get lost, and you just want to be aware of which forms you're looking out for. So that is the go, and that's the new update with the 1099 NECs and miscellaneous, and the 1099K, just to make sure that you're not confused or think that I got something wrong. So that's it for today. If you want some help with a partner for your salon or your barbershop, or maybe you're independent and you're like, Jennifer, I need help with this stuff because I do not even want to think about it during the year. I just want to focus on doing hair, cutting hair, installing hair, whatever, balayages or color, whatever it is that you do, and you just want to focus on that. And I definitely want to invite you to click the link in the description where you can work with us for the 2026 filing season. Or if you're interested in, bookkeeping and advisory services, definitely get in touch with us. I would love to work with you and make sure that you don't have to worry about this because you have a partner firm that is working on your behalf. All right. So my name is Jen, and I simplify profits and taxes for self-employed hair professionals and hair business owners. And I will see you tomorrow when we will be on day 49 of 90 with this 2026 Tax Talk series. See you then.